when me and my wife go to band on Tuesday night, community band in Valparaiso, our director at community band is Dr. Jeff. I like him just for that reason. And then his last name is Doebler, which sounds very much like Vogelin. So I like him for that reason. Plus, he doesn't do this anymore because he's so good at waving his hands around and getting other people to play well, but he played the baritone and the euphonium when he played an instrument, and so that makes him an even better guy. And besides that, he's really, really good, and he's very kind. And he has come over, up from school, he teaches down there. We ripped him out of his classes and brought him up to teach us today. So, have you ever taught my young ones?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So he's come several times for the high school. Not much the last 2 years with all the crazy things going on. He hasn't been able to come. But he's able to come today, so he knows where we are in the book. And if he wants to do stuff otherwise, whatever, I was going to tell you something else. You might remember, you guys remember Pastor Parrish? Right. You remember Mr. Brock? So when they came to help me out, we sent both of them to a class he teaches on how to teach instruments, students how to play their instruments. So he teaches college students how to teach instruments. So, and he does some other things too. So whatever you do if you're a string player, but let's welcome Dr. Doebler with a nice round of applause. Thank you, Dr. Doebler.
Great to be here. Hi, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. I'm really glad to see you guys too. And I've had a chance to work with lots of folks from Fairhaven for a long time. And they're always really nice and always really good musicians, and I appreciate that. But I also am really impressed with you guys getting started. You probably only played your instruments for a few years, right? Maybe a little bit longer than that?
The strings.
Yeah. Well, again, one of the really good things I think that happens at Fairhaven is that we have a really good music program, and you have folks playing and participating, playing their instruments and singing all the way from a young age like you, all the way to much older ages. And that's a really good thing, I think. And you guys are going to be able to do the same sort of thing and be able to participate in worship and in concerts and so forth for a really long time. That's great. And I'm glad that you're doing that. I'm happy to be here today. Yes?
Another thing about Dr. Doebler is that he has probably come to at least 10, maybe 15 of our Christmas concerts.
Every time I can, yeah.
Every time
I try to.
He sits back there, you just look under the balcony on the side by on the organ side, and that's where he'll be.
Just kind of sit there. I love those concerts, and I'm really glad that I always get my invitation to be able to come. And I'm pretty sure I can come this year too, so
Amen.
I'm really excited.
Well,
That's good.
we have a new addition, and if you don't tell anybody else, we'll tell you what it is.
Okay, I won't tell them.
The children are going to be singing.
Nice.
We have music camp in the summertime, and this summer my wife said, well, we've been talking for a year, so we had Christmas in July.
Great idea.
So 2 of the 4 songs that they learned, we're remembering, and we're going to sing those that night too. Beautiful songs.
That's good.
And super fun.
That's really
And
good.
I think, of course, people always like to see children. So.
I was going to say the same thing. I bet most people at the end of the concert will say, my
That was the
favorite
best,
part,
my favorite part
was the kids.
the kids.
I really like that.
Anyway.
Okay, you guys, somebody tell me what's your favorite scale?
Of
D?
course.
You said D too? B flat? D? I didn't hear you.
She said, go ahead, louder.
C? Okay,
Oh, concert B flat.
so we've got two sort of favorite scales. One's D and one is concert B flat. So concert D and concert B flat. Now, is anybody panicking if I say we should play those scales? Just a little bit.
The band members will be panicking with D.
Okay. And can the string players play B flat? Okay, let's do that one. Well, it'll give us a chance to get to know each other a little better, and then I'm going to ask you to do a little bit with some different sounds scale, and then I'm really excited to hear this Egyptian dance in just a few minutes. So let's start with the B-flat scale, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you each note. So you can just hold on for a little while. When you need to take a breath, when you need to change the bow, go ahead and do that. So we can just think about that and make sure to get started. Got it? Make sense? Okay, let's see what happens. So here's the first note in the concert, B-flat scale. It's right here. Second note. Good. Third note. Fourth note. Five. Six. That's it. Good. Let's start right there and then we'll go down. If we play that note again, the high note is here. Go down. Good. Now this time, let's only play the first 5 notes. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we don't have to worry about quite as much stuff. Okay, let's do that again. Let's do the first 5 notes. First note is here. Good. Now let's do a little faster. Let's go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, ready, go. Nice. Now this time, let's make every note as long as we can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just as long and smooth. Lots of bow, lots of air. Let's try that. 1, 2, ready, go. Oh, sorry. Let's go fast though. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, like we did before. Here it is. 1, 2, ready, go. Good. Let's do the same thing again. That was excellent. 1, 2, 3, go. This time, let's see if we can have the notes be a little bit shorter. You can still use the bow, but let's have the notes be more like da, 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 da. Let's try that. 1, 2, 3, go. Excellent. Same thing. Ready, go. Now let's mix it up. Let's have 2 longs and 2 shorts. Long, long, short, short, long, long, short, short, long. 1, 2, ready, go. Let's say it again. Let me say it to you again. Long, long, short, short, long, long, short, short, long. 1, 2, 3, go. Terrific. So you guys understand the difference between the long notes and the short notes. You can see where those things fit in your music and so forth. When Dr. Doebler and I are working with people on Tuesday nights in our group, sometimes we have to teach people about that. We have to remind them, this note is longer, this note is shorter, this one has more of an accent or whatever. And that helps us to be able to make the music come out really well for the people that are listening to us. All right, Egyptian dance. You like this tempo about 1, 2, 3, 4, or is that too fast or too slow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 1 Too slow? How about this tempo? No, I'm just kidding. Okay. How about like that? Let's try it. Let's see what we think. Egyptian dance. 1, 2, 3, go. Song in our book. Jumping up and down, exactly, I agree. Anybody have another idea?
There's sharps.
Sharps and flats, exactly. Any more? I think both of your ideas are excellent ideas. And it's really important for us as individual musicians, as independent musicians, to be able to play whatever we see in music. Every now and then, when Dr. Doebler and I are working with people on Tuesday night, some folks didn't have a song like this in their books when they were younger. And they might look at a note that has a sharp in front of it, and they think, oh, I don't know what that is, so I'll just play a natural instead. Or a flat, and I'll just play a natural instead because I don't know what that is. We teach them. That's our job, is to teach them and help them learn that. But this is something you guys are learning right now. It's going to help you a lot in the future, that when you don't know something, make sure you ask, make sure you figure it out, and you can be able to do that. And that's one of the reasons I really like this. Now, let's look at this thing again. And when you get to the sharps and flats, I'd like to suggest that we play those out, not a lot louder, just a little bit more. I think if our audience were sitting out here, when we got to that first sharp, they'd go, what? Is that correct? And then we show them, yes, it is correct. We're looking for this unusual sort of a sound. And that's why our author called it Egyptian dance, because maybe it has a sound from the Middle East. Okay, let's try that right at the beginning of Egyptian. And you're going to give us a little bit of emphasis, a little bit of extra strength on the sharps and the flats. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, let me just have you do one more thing, and then we'll try 2 more things on the song. Number 1, would you all please play the first note in the second measure? I'll bring you in. The first note in the second measure. Ready? Go. Good. Now, in the third measure, play the third note. Third measure, third note. Go. Excellent. What's the difference?
So nothing?
There's no difference, right? There, that one, know the big word of the day? They call that, maybe you've already taught them this. The big word of the day for this is
Top of
called,
the page.
oh, is
For
it in
them.
here?
For them.
Is it in harmonics? Okay, anyway,
On their
that's,
page.
it's the big word of the day, it's harmonics. It looks different, but it's the same note right there. Now, my favorite note in the piece, though, is the B flat. So please play the third measure, the fourth note. Third measure, fourth note. Ready? go. Yes, I think everybody in the audience thinks that that's going to be a natural. I don't think they think it's going to be a flat. So when we get to that flat, that's why I asked you to play strongly on the flats and sharps, because that helps them understand, oh, they mean business. That's the correct note that they've got going through there. All right, let's play this one straight through one more time, then we'll go on to our next piece. Nice and strong, very confident. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my favorite one. Now, someone please tell me what we have to be concerned about in this one.
So
The rests, exactly. So it's continuing to count. What some people do is what I call approximating rhythms. They look at the rhythm and they say to themselves, well, it sort of goes like this, I think. Instead of counting very carefully and knowing where the rests are, just like you just described. So we want to make sure that everybody's doing that. Okay, so this one, you like to play this one fast too?
We haven't done this one this year.
Nice.
Yeah. Or they just don't play rest. They just play the next note right away.
That's what a lot of people do.
Like last night on the first song program.
That's right.
And I got a guy, you'll see him in 20 minutes. He's like, he just plays right, doesn't play the rest. So,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
But we're going to play our rest.
Exactly.
We're playing the right thing.
And let me ask you one more question about rests based on what I see from other groups. Have you guys played music yet, and maybe you haven't, where you play for a while, and then maybe you have to rest for 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 measures, and you guys know that you have to count, right? You can't just start daydreaming, you can't take a little nap or anything like that. You've got to count those rests. What we find sometimes is that some people don't do that. They just think, well, sooner or later I'll come in, maybe I'll figure it out. And that's a disaster, as you might expect. But we just have to make sure that you're thinking about it. So good, thank you for mentioning the rests. Let's see what happens. We'll just give it a try. And if it's a problem, we'll stop and work on it. Okay? Beginning 136. I'll give you 1 measure for nothing, 4 counts. 1, 2, and ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1. Keep going. I'll help you with this in a minute. Now, another challenge with a song like that, in my opinion, is if you get lost, if you have trouble like on measure 2, this is what happens to me if I'm playing something like that. I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do now? I don't know where I am anymore. And so that's one of the reasons that we want to practice and also count rests and stuff. Let's please play. Let's start in the last 4 measures. Last 4 measures. Now, before we try it, somebody tell me what is easy about the last 4 measures, and then I'm going to ask you what's difficult about the last 4 measures. Is there anything in the last 4 measures that you think is easy? Yes?
certain there's the 4 measures. There's no rest.
no rest. I totally agree with you. And then I know I'm not gonna get lost in a rest because I'm playing the whole first bar. That's a good question. Anything else easy? Yes?
So it's in the same range.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that too. The notes don't change very much in the last 4 bars. That's good. So you don't get lost note-wise. Good. Now, tell me what's hard about the last 4 measures. What do you think might be difficult?
So there's a different, the notes are different.
Different lengths, right. So you have eighth notes, quarter notes, dotted quarter notes, quarter rests. So we really have to think hard about those, exactly. Anything else difficult about the last 4 bars? Yes?
So the rest are in different spots.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking too. To me, the hardest part is second measure and the third measure where there's a rest on the downbeat. Because I want to play on the downbeat. And then if I do play, what happens? I took a solo accidentally, oops. And so it's good, I think you're right, we have to identify where those rests are. Okay, so now, let's go ahead please and start the last 4 measures. Let's just play it. If it doesn't work out quite right, I'll help you figure out the counting. And this time I'm going to give you 2 whole measures for nothing so we can really get to start to feel for it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, here we go. Good. Let's do the same thing again. And I'm going to be annoying with you for a second. I'm going to count when there's a rest. You guys are going to play when you're supposed to play. I'll count when there's a rest. Okay? That'll be annoying because it's almost like I'm playing right there, but I think it'll help us a little bit. Last 4 measures, please. This time I'm only going to give you 1 bar for nothing. 1, 2, last 4 bars. 1, 1, 2, good, do it again. 1, 2, last 4, go. 1, 2. Good. So you got the idea on there, and I realize it's annoying when I count along a little bit like that, but it helps me, both as a player and as a conductor, if I think about where those beats are so that I don't accidentally play a note on one of those rests. That's another funny one that Dr. Doebler and I saw last night. We had this one song that ends with a rest. Everybody stops on the downbeat. In other words, the first count of the last measure. But a lot of people just instinctively want to put one more note on there. And almost every time we got to the end, we were supposed to go 1, 2, off. And people went 1, 2, off, and had one extra little note because they stopped counting and stopped looking at their music. Okay, let's go back a little farther, shall we? Why don't we do this? Let's play the first 4. We just played the last 4, and then we played the first 4. So we've got about 4 more minutes or so. Okay. And should we try to get to America the Beautiful too?
You want to, because that's a band arrangement where they have to kind of pay attention, and they have their own parts on that.
Okay, that'll be fun. All right, so let's do this. Let's just only do the first 4 measures of number 136. And after we master the first 4 measures, then we'll go on to America the Beautiful. Okay? Now, to me, looking at this, everything looks kind of easy except measure 4, where I have to be careful not to play on the down. 136, here we go. 1, 2, and ready, go. 3, 4, 3, 1. Yeah, that's good. The end comes right in there in the second half of the beat at the end of the 4th measure. All right, good. Let's go to America the Beautiful.
So, when Yeah, okay, so America the Beautiful will be fine. These guys, did you guys play the 1812 Overture in our spring concert last year or the year before? No, it was a different group? Okay, so it wasn't, so it's not familiar. Okay. But we did use this, maybe with this group, like 2 years ago or something.
Excellent.
Fun. But, yeah, America the Beautiful.
This is a good one.
I don't see sets of rest, but they'll have their separate parts.
Right, that's the challenge. So Dr. Doebler's point is that sometimes you have to count some measures of rest, and sometimes you might have a little bit different part than everybody else does. So that's the other thing. And it gets, the more that you get to have different parts, the more fun it is, I think, to play the music, because it's more interesting. Are you ready? Start at the beginning of America the Beautiful. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. Measure 3. Start. Now, in the trumpet part right at the beginning, you found that high C after a little while, right? We want to get that up to be up there. The good news is I think you have the same thing as the clarinet does, so you'll be able to hear that pitch when we get started. Good. And you can play it just a little bit louder. That'll help the air flow and make it a little bit easier. Let's just play the first 2 measures, please. First 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, go, and. Excellent. Excellent. The clarinet and the trumpet both have a B flat there at the end of the first measure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we want to make sure that that's going to happen. And violins are ready to roll when we get to the 3rd bar, correct? Here we go at the beginning again, please. This time we'll keep on going. 1, 2, 3, go, and. Look in the first measure, trumpet and clarinet, B flat on the end of the last count. And then in the second measure, the cellos will have an A flat at the end of the measure, right? And then we've got B flats in the flute and the violin part in the 3rd measure. That's the one to be on the lookout for that comes up with the key signature. Okay, let's try it again at the beginning. I think all we have time is to get up to 7 and then we'll be out of time. Okay, beginning to 7, nice and strong. 1, 2, ready, go, and. Thanks, everybody. I really enjoyed making music with you today. Keep practicing hard.
Okay, so for Monday, we don't need to go back to the Egyptian dance, but we want to make sure we get all those rests in the right place on whatever, what's that, 136?
Yes.
Okay, so last one there, and then we'll go, we'll skip, and we'll keep going through our band arrangements. Get these done maybe before Thanksgiving. I don't know. We don't have band done next Wednesday. So, but anyway, and then we'll get into our rhythm chunks.
Nice.
And scale chunks. Get